What's going on? What's going on? It's your boy Dwayne Nettles, aka Mr. Nettles. I'm gonna toss it to my co-host.
What's good, y'all? It's your boy Big Jose right here. You feel me? I'm back. I'm better than ever. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to C-Moss. You know what I'm saying? Get me pumped up. Get me right.
Moss game.
You know what I'm saying? Let me pass it to my boy Max. Let's get it.
Yo, what do C-Balls got to do with this, man?
Now,
Yo,
it's
come on, man.
COVID. Hey, it's COVID-19.
COVID-19 is still out here.
COVID-19. Listen, I'm trying not to say it, bro. I'm trying to be safe.
Yo, what does this C-Balls got to do with your
COVID-19 is still alive and
COVID-19, bro.
Right. I dig that. I dig it.
You see what I'm saying?
What's up, man?
Over 100 vitamins. Let's go, Max.
What's up, man? It's Maximilian, man. I'm here, man, ready to have a great show, man.
You all right,
What's
man?
up, man? What's up, man? I'm here.
Gang is in the building.
Look, you look a little stressed, bro. You straight?
Hey, look,
you know what I'm saying? Listen. I'm trying out.
How we getting in 2020?
Listen, I thought that was hilarious.
Listen, I might do this every week. Every week, I might get a different bottle of wine.
Hey, you got to cover that up. There's no free promo on Last and Hip Hop podcast.
Listen, bro. Listen, I'm tagging them, bro. It don't matter, bro. We tag. We gonna get a check somehow. Hey, Max,
tagging them.
Bro, go get some Sprite, Max. Tag Sprite.
Yo, my man. Yo, listen, my man said he offered C-Balls. No, I thought that was hilarious, but I wasn't expecting that.
C-Balls tough, bro. Got over 100 different type of vitamins. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's Wayne.
It's great.
You know, I'm
Kurt about to pop
right, bro. You know, it's
they about to pop live on the air.
Yeah, bro.
You about to pop it live on the air. Let's see if he get it. Hold up. Woo!
Yeah.
Celebration.
Let's go, baby.
2021. We back in the building. So it's our first episode for 2021, season 2, episode 2. This episode is going to be entitled Culture Vultures. We've been talking for about last 2 weeks about the culture and just things that contribute to the culture. And we felt it was important to bring those topics to the show. So let's talk about the culture in a whole. Let's start with the culture. So what do you think about when you think about especially now, because it's like a catch term. What does the culture mean to you?
As far as hip hop or what?
Hip hop specifically, yeah.
I mean, just hip hop is just it's like basically it defines like people of color, or you can say African Americans, like the way we dress, the way we talk, the way we act. All of that is embodied, you know what I'm saying, and expresses you know what I'm saying, who we are as individuals. And that's what makes hip hop so great. So.
All right. What do you think, Max?
I mean, when we think about culture, the culture, you know, do we just you know, hip hop is it covers a large, large space when it comes to, to the culture, definitely heavily influenced, but it's, our community in general, you know what I'm saying? The culture, that's what I think, like the Black, brown community, that embodies, not just on the hip hop, but, political, everything that we deal with on a day-to-day basis.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm the same boat with you, Max. I think the culture, it's become this umbrella term, but it's kind of like now it's like when we think about the culture in terms of hip hop, it's really all encompassing. You talk about, like the lyrics, the dress, the fashion, the influences, and even subgenres, so to speak, when you think about culture and you think about pretty much everything that comes with it. So I think hip hop comes from, and I think it's interesting because I think hip hop comes out of this space where it comes from this space where it wasn't open, and it's in its early stages, it was formed from bits and pieces of other cultures and other forms of music, until you have this new idea to that, you have this thing that is something of itself, right? So I think the culture it speaks a lot, and I think. And really, I think it's become a catch term, but I think, a lot of people talk about it and use it loosely, but I think it's important for us to kind of pinpoint what the culture is specifically and how we, and that's another thing that's become a catch term, pushing the culture forward, so to speak, right? Like what does that look like?
But like I said, like I think it covers a large space. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm thinking, with the, like I said, in our communities, and you know what I'm saying, everything we do, not just on a hip hop, on a music tip, but just everything, like you said, the fashion, I even the political side, just everything that encompasses, us on a day-to-day basis, our needs, you know what I'm saying? So
And let me ask this then. Let's ask this then, because there's a lot of overlap, right?
Okay.
So when I think about the culture, and quote unquote hip hop culture, does and because there's such an overlap, when we think about hip hop culture and Black culture or urban culture, how do we decipher what is what, and how do we look at where the overlaps do fall?
Does it have to? Well,
I think at this point it almost does, because now I maybe in its early stages not so much, because hip hop was very much a very urban, very much centralized thing in small urban communities where it was mostly Black and minority people. But I think now that, especially hip hop now, like hip hop has become such a such a big thing. Like hip hop culture is pop culture now, right?
Yeah.
You can't turn on your TV without seeing a hip hop influence.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
so when you have something that
overlaps,
big, but this is where I'm going now, Max.
Yeah, go ahead.
When you have something that was formed in such a small, condensed population that has become bigger than itself, right? It's naturally going to spill over into communities where it wasn't necessarily, where that wasn't necessarily the thing, right? So, again, you can walk in places like suburban America.
Yeah,
hip hop culture is very prevalent there.
Yeah, you got to think about it. Like, I use policies, for example, like, that's like a major part. Like, that deals with like a lot. And you got rappers, different artists, actors, actresses, like, yo, go vote, rock the vote. You know what I'm saying? So,
right, vote or die.
Vote or die. So I think it's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, we are the culture. You know what I mean? Like, everything.
I mean, with the reason why they did those type of things, I don't want to get off topic, because they just wanted to make sure that, you know what I'm saying, as far as hip hop, as far as Black people was, or people of color was included in the decisions that America basically makes today. You know what I'm saying? And we've seen it in these past couple of elections of how hip hop has like influenced, even with Diddy with the 2009, what was it, 2008? Was it like Vote or Die?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That was very, influential as far as like how hip hop like influenced like just the culture just in general. So,
because I mean, hip hop, I think since hip hop has come onto the forefront, hip hop has always, I think a lot of people looked at it initially as trendy, like it's gonna be something. They almost looked at it almost as like disco, like it's gonna be a niche genre.
Yeah.
But it kind of just it just kept going and kept moving, like it's become. To be honest,
yeah.
it's become like it's become the popular form of music. Like hip hop is probably the largest in terms of like popularity.
Yeah,
hip hop is
like
that staple.
It's like everything. You know what I mean? Some people's religion. You know what I mean? It's everything. That's why I say, like, we are the culture, the community. Like, you know what I'm saying? And every sector has everything to do with, the culture of hip hop. It encompasses all that.
Right. I mean, I think it's that one genre that's kind of spilled over into everything. It's spilled over into in terms of the music, in terms of the fashion, in terms of what you watch on television, in terms really
everything.
You can't go anywhere without seeing hip hop. Like in the art world, like it's everywhere.
Yeah, everything, bro.
That's what's up. Let's think about this. We were talking about this the other day, and we kind of touched it a little bit in terms of hip hop spilling over into other into other places and other sectors where it doesn't come from, so to speak, right? We've heard the term popularized in the last few years, the term culture vulture, right? People vultures, like, well, then before we even go there, like, when you think of the term culture vulture, what comes to mind?
Somebody that takes from the culture and they're not giving back to the culture. So they're like exploiting it for like personal gratification or like financial reasons, and they're not giving back to the community at all.
All right. What do you think, Max?
Yeah, same. Somebody that comes in from, another culture, just really, looking to take advantage and, for economic gain. Like Jose said, for own personal reasons and not giving back, you know what I mean? Like, just selfish motives. Go ahead.
I got a question for you guys too.
Yes, go ahead.
Can Black executives or Black artists, can they be culture vultures too?
I would say this.
I think it'll be a different term.
I
think we
had a
talked about it in the
conversation in
prior
the barbershop about this today, and I just wanted to get you guys' point of view. You know what I'm saying?
I would say this. I would think it would. I think it's more difficult for a Black person to be a culture vulture. I would say this. Maybe not a culture vulture per se. I think they could definitely have vulture motives, because even being I don't think it'd be a culture vulture per se, because they come from, and then it depends. It depends on how you identify the culture and who is a participant in the culture. If you look at it from a standpoint of someone who comes from similar communities, you could possibly be a person who comes from that community who doesn't necessarily have the love and appreciation for it, and who takes advantage and uses it. So I can see it in those terms, but I can also see it in a space where you have someone who doesn't come from a community that has been engulfed in hip hop, so to speak, right? And it just kind of coming taking over. So maybe not the culture piece so much, because it's going to be harder to find Black people who don't come from that culture in some space or form, right? Especially now, maybe older Black people, but maybe I don't think anyone our age or younger. It's going to be hard to find someone who's Black, who's our age or younger, who hasn't been influenced by the culture in some way, shape, or form.
I want to throw out a name, you know what I'm saying? I hope this don't ever like ruin the relationship with me, like working with this person, but I'm pretty sure there's like more names. But, I was in a barbershop today, you know how they have barbershop talk, and I thought about Diddy. And listen, Diddy is a great, musician. He's a great executive. But when it came to the artist, and I could be wrong, like he might educate me and say like, hey, you wrong. But when Big died, it was so many things that happened with contracts with these artists. To me, I questioned to see, was he a culture vulture? Because at the end of the day, like as people of color or African Americans, right? You want to see the next man win. So somebody I seen that, like two people I seen on a positive level, like stories I heard about T-Pain and like Boo and Akon, how they gave him the game. Like, you can sign this $1 million contract, but they're gonna take all your bread, or you can take this little money and we're gonna teach you the game. Or like how Master P gave the game to Snoop. You see what I'm saying? And what I mean by that is Master P came in and showed Snoop how to tour. He showed him how to make money off movies, how to make money off merchandise, how to brand himself as an artist as far as like smoking. You see what I'm saying? So it was like Snoop was able to live off that. But when I'm looking at Diddy, and I could be wrong, it's like, he's a part of the culture, but at the same time, it's like he took what the artist was basically providing, like giving him, and he basically used those artists for like his personal gratification. And then like those artist contracts, they were bad deals. I don't know if he advised them. I'm just like the outside person looking in, but it's like there's a lot of like he has like a track record of like artists that had bad contracts and it just didn't work out. If it was like one, you got like anomalies, but you know what I'm saying? I'm just looking at the track record, you know what I'm saying, of what I see. And there could be other executives that have probably done the same thing. They basically taken for the culture, for their own personal gratification, and you see what I'm saying? And they're not really giving back. Go
Quick
ahead.
question.
What was
So,
it, Matt?
Wayne, remember we had this conversation, and I was like, I used an example. You said that's not the right term because if
Yeah,
they're from the culture, go ahead.
yeah. So I think the term is different because because I think one thing Diddy is definitely like he's had a track record of giving artists pretty shitty deals, and he's kind of leveraged artists for what they could give for him at the time and move on to the next artist, and that's kind of been his MO. I don't know if culture vulture is the word we use for him per se, because he is a person who comes from our culture. Like he comes from the environment. He's gone to HBCU, and I think he's a hip hop person through and through, and I think he loves hip hop. I just think
I could be wrong.
I think he's more or less has practiced shady business, because I think another person comes to mind too. When you brought him up, a person like Baby comes to mind.
Yes.
So Baby, I would never discredit him being of the culture, but I would question his business tactics, so to speak. So I think a person we will think about more or less. I think it would have to be a person who's clearly a outsider when we use the term culture vultures. I would think of a person like.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
What about these older black executives, right? Like they're black, but they really ain't.
So like L.A. Reid.
There you go. That's one.
That might be a name to bring up.
He don't really come from the hip hop. He ain't no hip hop type of guy. That ain't really him.
Now that may be a name to come up.
You know what's interesting. The interesting part is with all these CEOs, these name Baby, Diddy. You notice that like it's always some shaky business going on, and I'm allegedly, right?
Can we say alleged? Because I think this stuff. I think at this point it's documented.
It's documented.
It's
right?
documented. So it's not even alleged.
Right. I was just trying to think. You know what I'm saying? Like, you notice though, like it always. So is this just a part of the business that you know what I mean? Like actually, because you hear it so often. Like, is it a part of the business? I was
to be honest with you,
but
I feel that is wrong. Like I feel like we always talk about like black unity, black pride, you know what I'm saying? And I give so much effort I get so much like acknowledgement, or I want to congratulate like people like Master P. Like a lot of the time people say, like, I was in a barbershop and they were saying like, oh, well, artists should read their contracts, or, you know, artists should get lawyers, right? But it's like, you as a black man, you shouldn't be wanting to get over the next black person. You should be wanting to teach them, like, you should want to teach them how to fish, instead of like having the objective in your mind, like, I'm going to give this person 500,000, but I'm going to make, say, 10 million off this person. Like, you have to educate that person and let them know, let them make that decision. If somebody came to me and told me, Kurt, if somebody said, Jose, if you took $20,000, right? When your album sales come in, we only gonna take 10%. Or we give you 500,000, you gotta make that 500,000 plus we gonna take 90% of your earnings. At that point, I got the decision to make. But that don't happen a lot of times. They put all this, the big, lawyer jargon in these contracts.
Go ahead.
We don't really know. And we basically we fucking over our own people. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. We doing it.
You know, I think this too. I think, and this is me playing devil's advocate, because I agree with you, Jose. I agree with you 100%. But this is me playing devil's advocate. I think a lot of times we're too, or not, maybe not in a whole, but I think a lot of times we're too willing to sell ourselves over what seems like a quick bag. And I think we hold ourselves hostage to people like, okay, look, you just sign right there and you're gonna be on. And I think the idea of being owned a lot of times has put a lot of these artists in terrible positions when it comes to the long game.
But you can't just put it on the artist.
If you would have asked most people, I'm willing to bet you, if you would have asked most cats in the mid-90s who was rapping, who was doing their thing, do you want to be down with Bad Boy? They would have easily said, yes, I'm trying to be down. Because it looks good. Like they're popping bottles, they got the flashy videos, the shiny suits. But post, I would say, not even post Big's death, because even after Big's death, they were still, on top, moving and shaking. But I would say post probably around probably around
after
98,
Victory.
99, 2000, right?
Yeah.
A lot of those cats who were signed early on were on the tail ends of that success with Bad Boy.
But you know what's interesting though, Wayne? I think Wayne and Jose, I think, I was watching a video not too long ago, and I feel like, and they were just basically breaking down these contracts. Like, it's not, necessarily like the Diddy's and the Dame Dash. It's like, it's not, it's the whole foundation, the structure of the music business to come up with these fraudulent, these
numbers.
These numbers. Like, it just, it's the makeup of the business, of the music business. That's why we hear about it so much.
But you got to ask yourself this though. I want to ask y'all. So in white corporate America, right? If Peter wants to help Paul, Peter's not going to fuck Paul over. Peter is going to teach Paul what he needs to know, because he knows that basically Paul is going to scratch his back on the back end. So it's like, shit, Peter, like, I'm gonna teach you this, and in return, if I need something, then you're gonna support me, right? They're not like, oh, well, I'm gonna give you $5 million. I'm gonna give you 500,000, and then you owe me 10 million. That's not happening in corporate white. They're not even letting that shit ride. You gotta ask yourself, why do we allow this to happen?
I think that might just be the nature of the music industry. Just in general. Even if we predate hip hop, we look at Motown, and just like, if we look at like larger, we look at really not even Motown, and let's take it off of Motown, right? Let's look at larger music execs in general.
Yeah.
A lot of them have been known for shady business practices, because by the time you get down to the artists, the money has hit so many people's hands before it trickles down to the artists.
Yeah.
The person on top is almost like, I need to make sure this netting me as much as possible. So almost to the point where they don't even look at the music, so to speak. I could care less about what music coming out. I could care less about who it is. I care less about who it's touching. Show me the numbers. They want to see the revenue. They want to see the number, to the point where they don't even have their hands on the music at that point. Because we think about it, right? The majority of corporate America is owned by 2 or 3 companies. And you think about the parent company, it has nothing to do with the music, so to speak.
So I got a question for you. I got a question for you guys. Does this happen in country and rock and roll?
Oh,
do they have the same
It definitely does. They have the same structures. Because think about I think we look at music industry. When you look at turnover, like there's very few, when you look at megastars, just in general, across platforms, across genres, there's very few megastars that maintain for long periods of time.
Okay.
But you see a lot of these artists who have, because think about even artists, like, you'll think about artists, you look back, you be like, yo, they had an amazing album. What happened to that person? You be like, I don't know. And 9 times out of 10, they signed a terrible deal. They did a great album, and nothing else came out after that.
Yeah. So do you feel like in the hip hop community is more vocal, as opposed, because I believe it happens in other genres as well, but
I think maybe
people in the hip hop community.
And maybe it's the entertainment industry too, because we hear the same stories from. We hear the same thing.
Yeah, in the entertainment industry in general, because we hear it a lot.
We hear the same thing from producers. We hear the same thing from like actors, actresses getting blackballed. Are getting offered low numbers for certain things.
Yeah.
I think it might be. I think it's entertainment. If we look at
even like Monique, like what she had to go through,
getting blackballed. Lee Daniels.
Okay.
You know,
and
the whole Netflix situation.
Yeah. Even more recently, think about Dave and
Dave. Yeah,
I see.
Good point. I think it's just entertainment industry all across the board. Like, you know what I mean?
But with that being said, though, I think it is important. I think now that more of these, I think the one thing we had the benefit of being younger and having more data on the table. Mm-hmm. I think that now that we have all these experiences, all these stories, all these situations where these people got dicked or shitted on, I think we have the data and we have the wherewithal to look at okay, what happened in these situations? How do we get here? Especially when you look at artists like think of artists like TLC, right? like a mega successful group in terms of what they were able to produce, right? But if you look back on what they made, they would say we didn't make anything from that. Like if anything, we came out owing
Oh my
money.
goodness.
We came out owing money on the back end and made some of the most impactful music of all time. Winning and
Yeah.
listen, and we talking about accolades, Grammys, $1 million videos on paper, looking like the best thing on earth, right? And they would tell you like we had nothing to show for that,
Man.
in terms monetary wise, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's very important for us going forward, you know, to be mindful and be tactful about, okay, what does this contract say?
Yeah.
Or is this an advance, or is this my money? Who do I owe? What are my lawyer fees? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And see,
Culture
and you got
vulture.
to
When we
realize
talk about
sometimes
culture
the
vultures.
lawyers be in cahoots with
Oh,
the
you know that.
label.
Sheesh.
Oh, you
You
know
know what I'm
that.
saying? So it's like the label gonna give you the lawyer that's on their side.
They gonna look out for
So
the
that
label.
label is only gonna identify what you know what I'm saying, like they're not gonna identify what you need to know. You see what I'm saying? They just gonna identify like just small bullet points. You know what I'm saying? We've seen like there was like a headline a couple months ago where the Migos was suing like the attorney for QC because there was certain things in the contract that they weren't aware of, and they weren't mad at QC. They was mad at the attorney. You see what I'm saying? I don't really know all the details and stuff like that.
I mean, it's almost like if you're an up and coming artist and getting some traction, you know, with some labels, man, whether it's independent or on a large scale, man, you want to do your due diligence, man. Have some lawyers look, you know, that have your best interest. Look over those papers. You know what I'm saying? Make sure everything is legit, and you know, do your due diligence by looking up, you know, researching yourself, man. So you don't want to get, you know, hemmed up, man. We see it all the time.
Yeah.
I think another good thing to bring up too, and I think I'm seeing a lot of this now, even on the comedy scene. I think doing your due diligence and having discernment in terms of who you're dealing with as well. Because I've seen some, and Max brought up the point, all skin folk ain't your kinfolk. So I've seen people that don't look like me who have your best interest in mind, and I've seen some people that look just like me who don't have your best interest in mind.
Yeah.
So I think I think the biggest thing, you know, just having discernment and, you know, reading the room and knowing what people's intentions are, even before you do any paperwork.
Yeah.
Is this a person I'm willing to even do business with?
Yeah.
Not even willing to venture into paperwork with you.
Listen,
God.
listen, that's a
What
good
you about
one.
to say, Max?
Nah, you're right. Because we listen, all that pro-black stuff go out the window when it comes to that money.
Oh yeah,
You in there,
go
nigga, you like, yo, I hope, you know what I mean, this person keep it 100 with me all day. But listen, when it comes to that money, you like, you like, man, that's my brother. He did that in the third.
These numbers ain't adding up.
Something else that I've realized, I've heard a couple artists talk about this. I've seen a couple of interviews with Young Thug and with 21 Savage. They were interviewing with like T.I., right? And they wanted the bag for T. You know, like when they was bubbling, they wanted the bag for Tip. But Tip advised them, like, if I give you this bag, then I'm gonna have to take more. So it's better for you to go this way. And so it's like Young Thug was able to win. You see what I'm saying? 21 Savage was able to win. Same thing with like Meek Mill. Meek Mill, you know, he was in the clubhouse. He was basically, you know, they was talking about the artist Pound Side Pop or whatever, talking about some, you know, Meek only gave him 20 bands or whatever, right? So Meek said, when I signed to Ross, I signed for $0. You see what I'm saying? Meek said what saved him was the fact that he had like 200,000-300,000 saved up from all the Flavor mixtapes. So he was like, when he was doing those shows, he was doing free shows. But it was like all those appearances and all those the people that he met along the way, they helped establish the person and the brand he was to where he was able to get that bag. You see what I'm saying? So it's like I commend artists like for telling you up front, like, you know what I'm saying, you might want 500,000. Like I could give it to you, but if I give it to you, I'm gonna have to take $5 million on the back end because I gave you so much money up front. I respect that from artists and from executives.
That's real. And, you know, I think that kind of touch on what we were talking about a little while ago. So I could commend T.I. for that because he's transparent. He's like, look, I could sign you, but looking at you as an artist, that's not going to be. I don't see that as in your best interest with who you are as an artist. You stand to earn more in the long game. You know, just do it this way. So I commend him for that. But at the same time too, I think that transparency and just understanding the business. Like, look, yeah, you can do that, but understand. And I think with Meek's situation too, I think Meek, where Meek was at the time, I think Meek understood the long game.
Yes,
it's
all about opportunity.
I could take this large. You could front me whatever up front, and I go buy me a chain, buy me a car, whatever. Or I could take this $0 and capitalize on this platform that I know that I have over here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like you as a comedian.
That's amazing, man. But your hustle gotta be different though.
You
know what I'm saying? Because basically it's like, I'm still independent, but I'm like, you know what I'm saying? You got that mentality, like, still, I still gotta prove myself. Because a lot of dudes get content with that upfront money. You know what I'm saying? Instead of betting on yourself and saying, listen, I can with that cosign or whatever like that. Because like we like forever we thought, we all getting on topic. I don't want to get on topic.
No, we good. Cause I think all this plays into the culture, and I think this conversation, this narrative, I think a lot of this is part of the culture as we know it. But I think it's important for us to, when we talk about pushing the culture forward, I think it's important for these conversations and look at the things about our culture that we don't necessarily like and address it.
Yeah, because I think the conversation that we're having is basically like not looking at all the others, but it's more so looking at us in the culture, because a lot of us are, could be our own worst enemy. You know what I'm saying? So let me make this point. I was gonna say, because for a minute we all thought like when Meek was popping, we thought he was signed with Grand Hustle. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We thought he was signed, but he said like, listen, I was just around. We thought, and look at that set him up for the Maybach.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because T.I. was going through it made sense.
It does. I mean, you leverage your relationships.
Yeah.
That's real though.
Hey Wayne, man, could you please bring the real culture vultures to the stage, bro? I've been waiting for the stage, bro.
Well, look, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna say if you are or you're not, because again, I think, and we had this conversation probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I think I know some people. I say this. I know some people I think who are.
Bro, you gotta name them, bro. Listen,
I'm gonna name them, but I'm gonna leverage it. I'm gonna frame it first, though. And the reason I say we gotta be careful about it, because if I don't know you personally, and if I don't know your heart, and I don't know what's in your heart, it's hard for me to say if you are or you're not. Now, this is why I say that. I frame it this way. When I think, because I don't think I defined what I thought a culture vulture was. When I think of a culture vulture, I think of someone who. Few things I have to see. You have to be someone who's clearly outside. You have to be outsider, number one, right? If you're not, I'm not gonna call you a culture. If you're an insider, I'm not gonna call you a culture vulture. I'll call you something else, but I'm not gonna call you culture vulture. So you had to be someone from the outside. So you had to be from a community that's not traditionally of the hip hop community. For number one, that's number one. 2, you have to be a person. I had to see that you're either you're participating and leveraging this for either monetary gain, or are you just picking it up? Like you playing with it, like you're not either taking it serious, or you don't have a true love for it. So it has to be a combination of those things for me. So a person who comes to mind, and this person's name has come up a lot. And I don't know who coined the term culture vulture. The earliest I heard it was from Dame. Dame was the first person I heard use the term, and the person he refers to a lot is Leor Cohen.
Leor Cohen, bring your punk ass to the stage. Bring your ass to the stage. You know you're a culture vulture, Leo. But go ahead,
Wayne. Be careful.
Let me ask this though. Let me ask this. Let me ask this. So Leor Cohen, his name has been brought to the table, but I think Leor Cohen's name is brought to the table because of his. I don't know. Because again, I don't have a whole lot of familiarity with his business practices outside of what Dame has said. Dame has been very vocal about him being not knowledgeable on the culture, kind of coming in and making moves and doing things and telling people what they should do. I don't know how dirty he is of a business person. I just know him from what I hear from Dame being a person who's an outsider who is clearly he's making a lot of money over at Def Jam off a culture that's not of his own, right? I can't speak on his love for it because I don't know, right? I truly don't know. So, but this is I just thought about this though. Is Jimmy Iovine potentially a culture vulture?
And you know, in the barbershop, we talked about that. See, I don't know Jimmy Iovine's and
I never heard anything bad about Jimmy Iovine, but when I see Jimmy Iovine, I don't see a hip hop cat.
I don't.
But I know a lot of cats. When we talk about hip hop and contributing to hip hop, Death Row was under Jimmy Iovine's watch.
But that's just like Rosenberg. Rosenberg's not from the culture. But I'm not gonna say Rosenberg is a culture vulture. I'm not.
So Wayne,
the one thing I said Rosenberg though, I
I
don't know Rosenberg, right? But as far as the way he portrays himself and the way the conversation he has, it seems like he's a person who's enamored with the culture.
He respects the culture. Yeah, that's the most important thing.
So Wayne,
yeah,
Lear Cohen, the Jimmy Iovines.
Mm-hmm.
What's the other dude that was Eazy-E? What's his name? You remember?
Oh yeah, that guy. Listen, that guy is a culture vulture.
Who?
Yes.
What's his name?
Guy that was with Eazy-E
what's his name?
And tried to separate NWA. You know
what's his name? Wayne?
Jerry Eller.
Oh.
Yeah. So hold on. Let me read this. Hold on. You see all these top heads of these record labels, right? And we talk about these structures of the contracts,
right?
We wonder why. Hold on. Listen, you see where I'm going with it, though.
I see where you're going. Yeah.
We talk about these heads at these records. Like, we talk about these contracts. We talk about culture vultures. I mean, just
I would say this. And again, I can't speak on them, but it's so much because I don't know where their heart lies. I don't know Jimmy Iovine and his love for rap, so to speak, right? So I can't say he is or he isn't. Now, I think, and this is a person. This name came to mind too, but I don't think this person is, because the way he portrays himself, it comes off with the love there. Rick Rubin is white.
Yeah, he's not.
But I say I don't think he is, because it appears that he loves and has a respect for what he does.
I got to throw somebody. I'm about to throw somebody on the bus, bro.
Y'all see what y'all doing?
Vlad,
we opening the box.
Vlad, bring your punk ass to the fucking stage.
Vlad,
DJ Vlad.
Listen.
You are a culture vulture, DJ Vlad.
Listen.
Go ahead, DJ Vlad. Go ahead, man.
I'm just gonna reiterate, so y'all get y'all thinking caps on. The heads of these labels, these contracts.
Oh yeah.
And culture vultures. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of the culture vulture conversation has a lot to do with these heads of these, these labels.
Oh yeah.
Is it a coincidence? Is it a coincidence all these things are happening in the entertainment industry?
I don't think it's a coincidence, because
just saying.
I'm gonna pick it back on that, Matt. I don't think it's a coincidence because I think, one, we gotta think too. We gotta look at starting points. A lot of these cats whose names are coming up are older, and they're older and white, and we're talking about people who were in the industry prior to hip hop, when hip hop was either prior to hip hop or when hip hop was in its infancy, right? But I think because these people are in music industry, they also are aware of trends and what is popping and what's gonna make money. So they're able to see hip hop. Okay, there's something here. Let's leverage this.
Right. So Kurt, I don't know if y'all saw Meek Mill call out Ethica.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
You see what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just giving y'all something to work with.
Let's do this. So we've pinpointed some. So we would pinpoint some executives and some behind the scenes cats. We allow behind the scenes. Let's look at some Let's look at some artists. Because it's one thing to say if you're an executive, you're pulling the strings and you're making the money for yourself. Let's look further down the totem pole. Let's look at some of these artists. And Kurt brought up Vlad, so Vlad ain't necessarily an executive, so to speak. So let's look at some of these artists. Who are some artists that we could identify as maybe not culture vultures, but like
they just call what it is.
I can't call it. I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Iggy Azalea. Iggy Azalea.
Is Iggy a culture vulture?
You are a culture vulture.
Is Iggy a culture
vulture? But Wayne, before we go to the artist, before we go to the artist,
I don't know her.
A lot of people been coming at the meteorologists like the lads, the Adam 22s.
It's complex. It's complex and culture vulture. There's complex exploit.
I don't know. I would have a hard time putting complex in that boat because I feel like the content complex puts out is very very immersed in the culture. It don't come off as they're selling me something that's already mine. It comes off as very participatory and it comes off very knowledgeable. A lot of times some of these culture vultures, it comes off when you see it, it's like they're trying to sell you something that's already yours. You be like, it's almost like a bastardized version of something you already like.
Listen, I got somebody right now. He's a culture vulture. I don't care what y'all say. DJ Academics, you are
Academics can't be a vulture. He can't he can't be a culture vulture.
Bro,
he can't be a culture vulture. He could be a vulture.
This guy don't got nothing to do with the culture. He's he the guy that was listening.
I'm saying though,
if he was admitting, how old is Academics?
How old is Academics?
You gotta ask yourself this.
How old is Academics?
He was getting no ass.
How old is Academics?
Playing video games. He's probably beating off. But you want to speak on street stuff.
We got to ask ourselves, though, how old is Academics?
You are a culture vulture.
I don't know if I'm a common vulture. I don't know if I'm a common vulture yet. Because
listen, you know why I say this, Wayne? Because he speak on stuff that he has no knowledge and he never been through. So why are
I think a lot of us do that, though.
Street activity when you ain't no street guy.
But I think that's a whole nother conversation.
You see what I'm saying?
That's a whole other conversation, though. But I'm saying as far as Academics, though, like he leverages. I won't call him a culture vulture because Academics is what? He's 20. He's 29. I have a hard time believing Academics grew up in an environment that wasn't immersed.
There you go. So that means,
so this is what I'm saying. I'm talking about hip hop itself.
But listen, but I'm just saying. If you gonna just talk about hip hop in general, that's like I understand that, but he always speaking on the negativity. I'm talking about with street shit. So if you don't come from no street background, right? And you speaking on street shit all the time, you speaking on all the beefs, you trying to instigate stuff. What are you doing?
That's him leveraging a platform, though.
What is the purpose of DJ Academics doing what he doing?
I think that's him leveraging. I think that's him leveraging something as clickbait. He knows we're gonna click.
It's like, say for example, if we see if we see Gilly the Kid, right? Gilly the Kid might be speaking on like niggas being dummies in the street. That's cause the nigga was out there. So he already know what to expect, right? But you got somebody that ain't got no affiliation with the street culture, life at all. And he's speaking on it like, hey, I'm the front runner guy. Listen. I know you don't know what's going on. You instigating the shit too. On top of that, you see what I'm saying?
Hey,
there's black guys that we went to high school with and college with. That, how can I say it?
Y'all hear something funny, y'all?
But you know, like say they might wear like a crocodile necklace, like they still black. But listen, you know, they got they listen. You look like a goth. You black, but you wear goth clothes, right? You know, that guy ain't supposed to be talking about no street life at all. Listen, you a civilian speaking on street life. So
that's another topic, bro.
I think that's a whole other topic. Because think about this, right? Think about like this, right? Think about this, no, because you gotta think. Academics is still, and I'm not excusing Academics because I think Academics is a nut, but Academics is a media personality, so by nature of his job, it's his job to report on whatever it is he's talking about.
But
I
there's
think what
other
academics
people that do
does-
that too, but they don't do it the way academics do it.
but I think that's just no.
That's another.
He thrives on clickbait. You know, here's something funny though. I just found this out.
Go ahead.
Academics academics went to Rutgers and graduated with a degree in biomathematics.
Wow.
I mean, that's not far fetched though. You know what I mean?
I'm just saying
You
that
know what I mean?
his personality and biomathematics just don't seem to line up.
I
No,
mean,
I
I'm
can
not
see it.
surprised.
I won't call him a
can see
culture
that.
vulture. I won't call him a culture vulture, but I
And
will.
that's why
But
I
I'm saying,
asked
can
y'all earlier,
you be a part of the culture? Can you be a part of and be? I thought that can't be the term. It's another term.
It has to be something else.
no, but you
Yeah, it's
can
another
still
term.
be black, but not a part of, like, I'm
No,
gonna give you an example.
but I think that it's hard.
Like
It's,
Tiger Woods.
I would say this though. It's
Tiger
hard for me to
Woods is
believe.
black.
No, this is what I'm saying. Not just because, but this is what I'm saying though. A person academic's age, I have a hard time believing he wasn't immersed in hip hop culture in some way, shape, or form.
Bro, he might not have been. So let me ask you a question. What if you weren't accepted in the urban or the hip hop community? Like, what do you call those guys? You know you got a couple guys
in the urban or hip hop community, quote unquote.
You just not accepted. They don't accept you. You the lame nigga. You basically.
Listen, I ain't
so at that point,
I've been that person.
If you the lame guy, and if you the lame guy, you doing goth stuff, right? You see what I'm saying? Or you not really immersed in the
I ain't gonna go there per se, because I've seen people who cross over in different places who still love, who still love hip hop.
I mean, I'm gonna do some more research on.
Look at Mario Judah.
Right, will Mario Judah be a culture vulture?
I don't think anybody that young who identifies as black. It's a hard time for me believing that you weren't immersed in hip hop in some type of way.
I mean, I saw a video where it looked like he was at
29. Like, of course,
I saw a video where it looked like he was at a Trump rally. I thought I saw a white person say nigga.
Hey, I'm gonna hit you with something, right? Listen, I'm gonna hit you with something.
Yeah.
Hip hop transcends, and this is one thing I noticed. Hip hop transcends race. It transcends political affiliation. Hip hop transcends most things. Cause listen, I'm willing to bet you some of them dudes in the Capitol last week. I'm willing to bet you they're hip hop fans.
Talk to me.
Listen, I don't want to see no Joe Biden doing the Junebug. No, unacceptable. Listen, if Joe Biden did the Junebug, if Mitch McConnell did the Junebug, culture vulture. You not part of the culture. You can't do that. I don't want to see Pelosi do no Junebug.
So
you stay on.
So now I want to get off topic. Come on, let's not do this today. So when Joe Biden, this is my last. I ain't gonna touch it. But so when Joe Biden says you're not black if you don't vote for me,
they're not about to lie to us.
What is that? Is that
$2,000?
What is that?
No, they're gonna lie to us and say they're gonna get $2,000. They're gonna do the Junebug challenge, and we ain't gonna get nothing. I need to see action. Give me action, then you can do the Junebug. You're not about to use it.
Let's do this. All right, so I'm gonna take that thought and go here. So we were talking about artists in particular. So let's focus on some artists who are clearly outsiders. So Iggy Azalea name came up. What up, Malcolm Moore?
Oh yeah.
Is he a vulture?
But see, I don't know of Malcolm Moore because he, like, the music that he made.
Malcolm Moore,
like,
Lewis.
It's like the music that he made. It ain't really.
That's what I'm saying. Like
I don't know any black people that listen to Malcolm Moore like that. Like, I don't know a large.
But I'm saying, can we really say like Iggy? Like when it comes to artists, like do we really know if they're culture vultures?
It's hard to know.
Malcolm
Moore, hey, our guy Riff Raff.
That's my guy.
Riff Raff is Riff Raff.
That's my guy.
Different pedigree. Because listen, Sauce Walker said
that's my guy.
You ain't pulling up on Riff Raff and rob. Riff Raff gonna rob you. So it's like when I look at people like Riff Raff, right? When I see other black people talk about Riff Raff, right? Or like I'm getting another Paul Wall, right? Paul Wall is immersed in the black community. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, got a black wife.
There you go. So when like
That's what I'm saying. A lot of
not
artists
looking at Paul Wall like he, you know what I'm saying, he you know what I'm saying, he's like trying to use our culture.
I think
what about
a lot
Eminem?
of
What do you think? Eminem, is he a culture?
I don't think he is.
I don't.
So
But
listen, there's a guy at the barbershop, right?
Mm-hmm.
He said that Eminem had basically said that he made negative comments about black women. He said that black women are bitches.
That's been documented.
That what he said. But listen, when we was at the barbershop, right, I told him, I said, if Paul Wall was in the barbershop with us, right? Or say Paul Wall was online, and Paul Wall said, hey, it's some bitches outside. They look good as hell, right? Like, I mean, it's still negative, but when I went outside to look, I'm not gonna be like, damn, this nigga Paul Wall racist. No, if Mitch McConnell had came inside and said, them bitches outside look good. When I go outside, I'm gonna look at you like, bro, you ain't part of the culture, bro. I don't want to hear you say that.
I don't know if that constitutes being a culture or not. Because I think white people talk, some white people talk like that.
But listen, but I was trying to explain to the barbershop, like the barber, I was trying to tell him that if a white man say something negative about like a black woman, right? He just saying it from a man's perspective. I'm not putting race. Now, if he said the black bitch or the nigger bitch, or you know what I'm saying, he like, but I just say if Eminem had said
that's context.
Fuck the bitches, right? Fuck the black bitches, right? Like he probably was dating a black chick. She fucked him over. That's just his emotional experience. You know what I'm saying? And he gave me like a negative feedback. Like, no, you ain't supposed to accept that in the black community. You supposed to protect your black queens.
I think that's a different.
Go ahead.
I think that's a different. I think that's a race conversation versus a are you a contributor to hip hop? Because even if you are a contributor to hip hop, even if you are, like, I think you still got to be held to a certain standard when it comes to your racial inflection too.
I just think it's a deeper conversation. You know what I'm saying? Because
I
like,
agree.
I think it's a deeper conversation because, you know, on the surface we really don't know if Iggy Azalea was really, you know, passionate at one time to do
name.
Go ahead.
Type of music. She's, you know,
he's not a rapper, but he's not a rapper per se, but he's embracing hip hop. He's embraced hip hop culture. Justin Timberlake.
I don't know if I.
And hey, listen, again, I don't know, but this is what I think about it.
I don't get the negativity from Justin.
This is what I'm saying too, though. I don't think it has to be negative. So I don't think it necessarily has to be negative because think about it, right? I think Justin comes into question because he's able to come into the community and he could dance around and be cool. Like, oh, I'm cool. I dance, I sing, I do R&B music. I work with Timbaland. But then he's able to make a lot of money off of that. But he's also able to go back off to the pop land and just be Justin again.
I mean, listen, if you're gonna bring up Justin Timberlake, bro, I gotta bring up the whole Kardashian crew, the whole family. The whole family. Nigga Rob, nigga Eric. Listen, everybody.
That's a
great conversation.
All them. Oh my, they juicing black culture, bro. They juicing them.
Hold on, Wayne. Wayne, hold on. I'm coming at you, right? So let's break down JT, right? So NSYNC, you know, NSYNC put up all crazy numbers,
right?
So once JT decides to go solo,
back up
they
for
might credit your point. It might credit your point.
Back up for a second. Look, timeline wise, I want to bring this up too. NSYNC, that's a good example too. NSYNC was definitely that's when pop was popping. That's when pop was a genre, pop. Like it wasn't R&B. It was called pop, right? Think about NSYNC. When NSYNC came out, it was very much on the pop wave. That last NSYNC album, remember they was on 106 with remember the single Pop and Gone? Pop was on. They were on BET. They were on 106 apart. And then when Gone came out, Gone was an R&B record, straight up R&B record. And listen, and they played to BET, and they were on one. I remember Pop and Gone were number one on 106 Park, I believe.
So hold on, Wayne. Hold on. So with that being said, because think about it, hip hop is emerging. Hip hop R&B is emerging into the pop realm, right? Around that time, would you say, or early, even earlier, or whatever the case may be?
Even back,
not to say it has to be negative. Yeah, not to say it has to be negative. Listen, and labels minds like, hey, this guy's our cash cow. We need to put, we need to get you right here. This is popping. You got the voice. We can give you, the produce, the songwriters, whatever have you. We need. So I can see it from a business standpoint.
Oh, it makes sense. Oh, listen, it makes 100% sense.
You're talented. We need you over here to get this type of bag.
Right. Well, it makes all the sense.
So it doesn't necessarily, like you're right. It doesn't necessarily have to be a negative. I can see it from that angle. Look at Machine Gun Kelly. Machine Gun Kelly.
He's another.
That boy doing rock and roll songs now.
Machine Gun Kelly,
talented.
He ain't rapping no more.
Look, my guy, Yellow Wolf.
A
lot of names come to mind.
Post Malone.
Post.
Oh yeah,
they
man.
Can
Post
dibble
Malone
and
he's a culture vulture.
Listen, I got a name. I got a name. Tekashi 6ix9ine.
I don't know. Listen.
As far as what, Wayne?
Is he a culture vulture?
How is he a culture vulture?
Is he a culture vulture?
Is he not a culture vulture?
No, is he? I don't know. I don't know. I'm giving everybody benefit of the doubt.
I watched the documentary. And 50% of me say he is a culture vulture, and 50% say he's not. I did watch the documentary.
Go ahead. I want you to explain this.
I did. What's his name? Daniel. What's his name? Daniel Hernandez. I watched it. Matter of fact, you remember? Hey, Max, you remember the dude? You remember the dude named Cornelio that went to Benedict, right?
Go ahead.
So you remember Cornelio was a drummer, but he was a DJ in this group. It was like a hip hop group. Basically, he used to be with them niggas. And then, like, I think his stepdad got killed. Then that nigga, like, switched to where, like, he wanted attention. So, when I look at the situation, it's like the reason why I don't say 100% I agree that he's a culture vulture, because he was in the community. So, all this shit was around him. So, he wasn't a street nigga, but he seen all the street shit going around him. He just thrived off attention. And he like, I want this. So, I'm a drive. So, it's not like somebody that don't even live in the community at all, and then they just like, you know what? I want to be a street nigga. No,
go ahead, Wayne.
Yeah, you grew up poor.
All right, so I'm gonna jump here. I'm gonna piggyback on what you said. I'm picking up what you said. This is why I want to. Again, I can't say if it is or isn't. This is why I want to lean and say he is, because when I look at Tekashi, I see a person. One, I'm not gonna knock his success. I'm not gonna knock him being on. He's clearly a artist who is on, who does numbers, who is getting this money, right? But I would say this. I would also see an artist who's leveraging drama, who's leveraging negativity for monetary gain. And he's leveraging, and I hate to say he's leveraging rap because he chooses rap as his platform.
But you got to
let me finish up. He's leveraging rap. He's leveraging rap for monetary gain, right? But the difference for me, I would say, when I look at a Macklemore, when I look at an Eminem, when I look at a Justin Timberlake, even Machine Gun Kelly, even Yellow Wolf. When I see them in interview and when I see them doing the art, right, when they're performing hip hop, I feel it on some level, the love and appreciation there. I don't necessarily get that from Tekashi 6ix9ine.
I agree, and that's why I say I'm 50% in, 50% out. Cause the thing is with like the other artists you name, they ain't live in those communities, right? Where like it was like high crime and like high street activity. Tekashi lived in those communities.
I get it.
So
I get it,
but the shit, he seen the shit that was going on, and he just like I just think he just wanted attention.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? And he realized that, you know what? If I'm able to do these things, I'm gonna get where I need to get to. I just think he went about it the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I don't know if I call him a culture vulture.
I would say this too,
because he was in the community.
I think that makes him more of a culture vulture because he sees the opportunity and he leverages it. He leverages it even when it's not something he cares about, so to speak.
But you got to realize,
that makes you even more of a vulture.
Go ahead, Max. My bad. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying that makes you even more like you know.
No, like his dad. Listen, his stepdad got killed, so it's like, oh.
But let me ask you this though.
Okay.
I think it's a difference between living in a community of high crime versus being immersed in and having a love and appreciation for rap culture though.
I see. Okay.
Because I don't come from.
I got one foot in.
I don't come from a.
I'm trying to understand.
I don't come from a community, a street community, but I come from a culture that
represents like,
hip hop.
You bringing up his stepdad and all these other reasons, like it doesn't. So that gives him.
I mean, listen, you gotta ask yourself. So listen, the number one reason why people join gangs is because of like family. You see what I'm saying? So if you ain't got no family, right? You know, somebody say like, yo, we gonna take you in, you're gonna be our family. That's a lot of the times how it happened, right?
I would say it's true though.
If your dad got killed and then you had a big connection with him as far as like he teach you how to be a man and he died, your stepdad died, right? That connection is gone. So at that point, you searching for something else.
But let me say this. Let me add on what you're saying.
This is beyond rap right here.
Oh, yeah. You know let me add what you're saying though. Because that's true.
So he had mental health issues. Go ahead.
I would say this too though. I think, and this is why I lean with Tekashi not being a vulture too. But even in those street environments, and even when we talk about gang activities, even with that, to be down and to be a part of it, you still had to participate on some level. I think Tekashi isn't participating as much as he is leveraging it.
Got you. Okay.
It'll almost be like me, right?
Right.
Coming from a community that's adjacent to gang activity. If I was a person, I was adjacent to it. I live in that community. I see it a lot, but I don't participate in it. But I still choose to leverage it for myself. Like, for example, it would be almost like a person who says, I see the gang activity outside. I see the Bloods. I see them gang banging. I wasn't a Blood, but I'm going to leverage that environment because I'm close to it. And I'm going to make some money off of it.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I think it's the same.
So Wayne, what is that? What is that? What is that?
So you're right. So
what is that?
They vultures too.
Listen, Tekashi, you a culture vulture.
What you say?
They vultures too.
What you say?
You a culture vulture, bro. Like, I listen.
They vultures
right.
too. They vultures too.
You said, well, gangs of vultures, culture vultures?
I think no, not gangs. I think some folks use gangs as I think they
see, you know what? They know it's crazy because you know. I mean Wayne. Though I don't know if you know Max, but see, my dad was like killed at like a young age. You know what I'm saying? When I was like young, so it's like my stepdad, like he wanted to make sure that he had a strong grip on me because he realized that gangs would use that. You know what I'm saying, to recruit people in because at this point you lose your father or you lose your mother, right? You searching for somebody to help guide you. I don't know, like as far as like gang initiation, but I'm just saying from like what my stepdad.
So are you taking your experience? So are you taking?
Yeah, I'm just saying like from what.
Don't do that
though.
Taught
me. Like
that's
accurate. Collar on me like nah, bro.
You didn't leverage. You didn't leverage. So you good.
Saying, my stepdad like he loved me. You know what I'm saying? So he made sure that he was the man figure. You ain't joining no gang, nigga. Like that shit ain't happening in this household.
But don't use Daniel as an you know what I mean? Like you tried. You tried.
Listen, I was wrong with that.
Hey, you did a good job though. Like nah. It's even worse.
Hey, what's his name?
Matter of fact, you know what?
I was sex.
You know what?
Sex.
You know what?
Hey,
you know what? I'm gonna say this.
Go
I
ahead.
started this conversation by saying I don't know because I don't know these people. I changed my mind. Takashi, you are a culture vulture. I'm sorry, you are. I know you.
Yeah, boy, Takashi.
Wait, you on the
To the
fence?
stage.
I had to listen. I had to give you some. I had to bring some sense to you guys. Like, yo, no, you see what Curtis had. You see what Curtis did. Like, he tried to bring his situation into it. Like, he watched that documentary.
That's just a
Kurt
natural.
used his own
I
experience.
tried
Like, yeah, I
to
can
save
see
him, bro.
where
Kurt tried to save him.
but not.
Kurt tried to save him.
I tried.
Kurt tried to save him. It got look. Kurt tried to save him. I realized it got worse.
It brought it deeper. Wayne, Wayne was like, you know what? Wayne was kind of vying with you. I was like, nah, Wayne, don't do it.
All right, let's do this.
Yeah.
Let's move the conversation this way.
Yeah, that's even worse.
Let's move the conversation in this direction. So, we talked about the culture. We talked about culture vultures.
But good combo.
About outsiders.
Good stuff.
Let's touch this. So, when you think about cultures as a whole, so just culture in general, like anything you bring up, regardless of where it comes from, there's certain traditions. There's certain things you pass down. There's certain rites of passage. There's all these things that are parts of that culture, right?
Okay.
But I think for most cultures, the people who participate and the people who are part of that culture, there's a certain level of respect for the culture, number one. But two, there's also a certain level of protecting the culture from outsiders, for number one. That's one thing, but also protecting its livelihood in terms of making sure we sustain this culture going forward. So there's certain things as far as like storytelling and passing down of traditions, and really when you think about passing of the torch, we don't want our culture to die with us. So they take a lot of pride in making sure we pass this on to the next generation. One downside I would say about hip hop is I think the divisiveness, and I think one place we fall off is when it comes to making sure we're preserving the culture, but two is how we preserving this culture in terms of, okay, when we get up in age and it's time for the generation behind us to have their time to shine, how are we preserving the culture to make sure they're getting it, number one, and two, to make sure they're fostering the culture in the way it should be.
That's a deep question.
Because think about it, right? When I think about hip hop, every 10 to 15 years, you have like pockets. You have these pockets and you have these generational pockets. And it's almost like the previous generation is always at odds with the generation behind it. So like when you have the generation who's on now, when they're getting on the tail ends of their careers, you see a lot of them hanging on to what they feel is theirs. And they look at the people behind them as, they look at what they're doing, even though it's still hip hop, but because it may look slightly different or maybe not, it may not look quite the same as what they're doing. Either they shit on it and say, "Oh, that ain't real hip hop. This right here, this is hip hop. This is what I got is hip hop. Y'all on some other shit." So hip hop has almost been a genre that comes out of necessity, because you're not gonna give it to me. Yeah. I'm gonna create my own thing right here because you won't put me on game. And we heard those stories all the time.
And thank God for the ones, because we can't group every OG.
Yeah, like everybody in that way, because you got some cats who pay homage and who put on and shout the young
out. And yeah. So thank God for those.
But as a whole, though,
I
say this, like our generation, right? Like I'm talking about like 30. I say like 30 to like, I don't know, like maybe like 30, 35, right? Like I feel like this generation, like we had to like almost like create our own like self-identity. So and what I mean by that is like when I'm looking at like the Wiz Khalifas and I'm looking at like the Currencies and I'm looking at like the J. Cole's and I'm looking at like the Wale's, like I'm trying to think of, I'm looking at the Nipseys. It was like, I don't know if it was like a lot of guys that was like reaching down. Like when they was on, I'm talking about they was on ground zero.
When they was coming up.
I don't know if it was a lot of, it's like a big ass gap, bro, between like, say like the niggas like Nas and like and like the Jays, and it's a huge gap because it's like they ain't want to pass the torch. So you gotta think like the niggas like Grandmaster Flash, and you gotta think the niggas like Big Daddy Kane and the Ice T's. They passed that shit down to the niggas like the late 80s, early 90s.
I would say this too though. I would say this too though. You know what though? I wouldn't even say them per se, because I think there's a lot of divisiveness there too. Because you look at, think about LL when he came out, right?
Yeah.
When LL first came out, LL had so much heat from all them old heads because he was doing something different. Like you look at LL Cool J when he first came up, LL Cool J had beef with every major New York rapper who was somebody back in the day, because a lot of them cats looked at him as, oh, he trying to be this playboy, he's playing up to these women, all this stuff. They ain't rap. So he had almost come out and be like, you know what? I'm gonna have to set myself apart and come at all y'all to prove to y'all I can rap before anybody even gave him anything.
Can I make this point?
Go ahead, man.
It will almost seem like, we're our own vultures and to ourselves.
And that's why I asked y'all earlier.
These other guys,
can black people be culture
vultures against each other? Like,
that's why I asked y'all earlier. Can black people be culture vultures in your own culture?
I don't know if culture,
we just use it as a different term. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely some vulture activity. Definitely.
Vulture activity.
Not some, but it's a lot of vulture activity. It's a lot.
But you doing the activity like through the culture. So why would you not consider these people culture vultures too?
Because the definition is.
I think you can't. I don't think you call it culture. I don't think you call it. You're leveraging the culture, but you're leveraging something that is still yours. You have some level of ownership over it. Versus, it's almost like looking at when Europeans came over to America, right? You took somebody else's land and made it my own. Okay, but no, it's not yours. You took it from me and you leveraged it. At least if you're leveraging something and you're being crooked and dirty about it and it was already yours, at least I can say it was yours.
Yeah, we got issues within our own.
You're taking something from me. Like, you're taking something from me and trying to sell it back to me.
It's crazy.
Yo, that's like somebody coming to your house, taking your kicks, and they were like, "Yo, you want to buy these Jordans?"
Nah, bro. Listen, boy, I'll smack fire to their ass, boy.
That's exactly what it is.
You just stole my shit, bro.
You know what I mean?
But that sound like some crackhead shit, boy.
Oh man.
But that's what we do though. Like we're we're our own
crackhead shit. I'm about to steal your shit and sell it back to you. That's some crackhead shit.
But but back to what we're saying though, I think hip hop community in general has always been a very dog eat dog type of culture.
That's true.
And I think we have a lot of people looking down on the general, and I'm guilty of it too. I've seen there's a lot of young cats who coming up doing music, doing stuff, and I'd be like, "This shit garbage."
Logic,
but not even that. Because listen, I think Logic, his type of music isn't per se like. I get what it's coming from, but I'm talking about like younger cats. Like I'm talking about cats who are fresh into the game. So I'm talking about people who are 14 to 23, niggas that age, right? I would say 90% of it, I hear it and I'll be like, I ain't really fucking with it. Or I'll be like, it's garbage, whatever, right? But is that because the generation prior wasn't reaching back and say, hey, this is how you do this?
No, it's crazy. I think like you gotta think the generation behind us is probably like the thugs. You know what I'm saying? Like them. I'm even talking about larger than that because I'm looking at it almost as like thug. You know what I'm saying? Like they.
I wouldn't even call that because if you look at Young Thug, like if we look 10 years from now, Young Thug is gonna be in our demographic age wise, right? I'm talking about even bigger than that. So I'm talking about like 15 years. So I'm 30. I'll be 35 next month. So I'm talking about a 20-year-old.
Yeah, you about to be old as shit.
So think about it, right? Okay. So I'm thinking about a 20-year-old. So someone who's fresh in college, right?
Listen.
So a person fresh in college may not necessarily be on the same thing I'm on.
Thug gave, he bigged up Big John. he bigged up John than 3 Stacks.
Hey, he bigged up John and shit on
John. But threw 3 Stacks under the bus.
Look, and Jay.
He threw Jay under the stuff.
He said, "I'm doing stadiums."
Elton John.
He took it back. He took it back though.
But that's
Jay,
what we do, though. But that's what we do. That's what we do, man. And that, you know, he might have a better relationship, of course, with Elton John. But it just as an example, like a lot of times we always.
But
and sometimes it be like that, though.
I
Wayne,
think
like
that's the
you said
definition
earlier,
of divisiveness in our culture, though.
It's
Look
like
at
it
Thug,
go
right?
either way.
So look at Thug is 29. So the fact that Thug feels comfortable throwing Dre under the bus, throwing Jay-Z under the bus, throwing Lil Wayne under the bus, it's proof to our. That says a lot. Listen, it's proof to our genre saying,
"Ooh,
if you're the generation prior to me,
I gotta go there.
Nope. I don't give a damn.
Nope, I gotta go there. You started it. Nope, I gotta go there." It says a lot. It says a lot, man. And oh man, I can't. It's so much. It's so much I want to say right now. Oh my goodness, Wayne.
This is where I'm about to go with it, Max. This is where I'm going with it next, right?
Hey, y'all. Hey, Wayne. I think you need to purchase this, bro. This is some good ass wine, bro.
Yeah, I can tell. I can tell you over
bro,
there.
I ain't gonna lie,
bro. I can tell. You know, by your performance tonight. It's revealing.
Hey, performance is what? Immaculate.
But go ahead, Wayne. But Sarah, all seriously, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
But this is where I'm going next, though. So listen, if I could only blame Thug so much because he's a product of the culture he comes from. So the fact that Young Thug is so comfortable throwing an artist like Jay-Z, an artist like Andre 3000, an artist like Lil Wayne under the bus and put himself on that platform, he's a product of the genre he comes from. But this is where I'm going next,
bro.
This is where I'm going next, though. So Young Thug is what, 29, right? He's coming up on. He'll be 30. He'll be 30 next year.
I'm gonna go there.
He'll be 30 next year. So this is where I'm going next. What stops an artist like Lil Baby, right? Who is what, 26? What stops an artist like that from throwing Young Thug under the bus 5 years from now?
You know what it is? It's the pedigree of the artist.
Well, him
you
and
see what I'm saying? Like
I know they
I give you an example. I get you an example.
Like Lil Baby.
Yeah, I get you an example.
I don't think Lil Baby want to really be out there like that. Like he just out there. What like Thug want to be the main nigga. But Lil Baby like I don't want to be the main nigga. It just
I just use that name as an example, but I'm just saying in general, somebody in his demographic.
Yeah.
Lil Baby,
like somebody.
I identify him as.
Yeah, this is an example.
He's like one of the new cats of this newer generation, who is on and doing it. So I and I'm not a Lil Baby fan, but I can honestly see 5-10 years from now, him being that guy in this generation who's leading that wave, right? So who's to say somebody like him or even somebody younger than him saying, and this is the thing about it, and I use the Young Thug for example, because it's one, he's identified somebody from his city that he says I wasn't influenced by Andre 3000, and you grew up in Atlanta. So I'm like, how much of a hip hop head are you if you're from Atlanta and you have one of the greatest hip hop artists of all time who come from your city, and you say you weren't even influenced by that cat?
And that's crazy because I grew up 90 miles from Atlanta, and hip hop and Outkast still influenced me. That shit was in my city.
And this is twofold, right? You're also artists. You're on the same label. Your introduction to the rap game was under the Cash Money umbrella. And you also throwing Lil Wayne under the bus for not paying homage to you when you were the new artist. You tell me I stuck my hand out, tried to dap him up, and he stuck his hand out. I said, well, Young Thug, he don't know you. and he's Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne's an established artist. He don't necessarily gotta stick his hand out to you. You just another dude on the label. Because think about this, right? From a business standpoint, right? Think about how many artists have been signed under Cash Money, Young Money in the length of time Lil Wayne has been there. Do you think Lil Wayne really has time to be buddy and friends with every artist that's ever been signed by that label?
Nah.
So in my head, Young Thug almost like you owe this to me because of who I am. I'm like, no. So I'm saying, what's gonna be different when Young Thug 5 years from now, 10 years from now, Or are you gonna be okay being thrown under the bus when somebody says the same thing about you?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But I think that's a product of the culture we come from. We don't reach back. We don't try to bring the youngins up. And it's I love the competitiveness of hip hop, but it's almost so competitive to a fault almost.
Oh no, that's a doubt. Like you said, that 10, 15 year gap. Like you said, a younger artist a diss you know what I mean? Old head artist a diss a young diss that just comes with the territory.
It even trickles down. Listen, it even trickles down to the fan base. Because think about how many cats who listen to certain pockets of people, and they will even say, "I don't fuck with them young niggas, man." Listen, I know cats to this day. If you're younger than somebody like Raekwon and Ghostface, they ain't listening to you.
So Wayne, you're saying it's a culture thing.
I think it's a culture thing. Yes. It definitely is.
Not just an entertainment. It's just a culture thing.
Definitely. But I just think it's more prevalent in the hip hop culture.
Yeah.
Because you don't necessarily see that when it comes to R&B music. You don't necessarily see that. Like if you're a fan of R&B, they typically weigh if they're gonna be a fan or not based on they're gonna hold it up to your content. They're not gonna say, "Oh, you trash because you under the age of 24. You trash because you under the age of 35." If they say you trash, they could be like, "You trash because I don't rock with your content, not your age group." You know what I'm saying?
But you still had some levels in that.
You still gonna have some levels because you can have some cats that just rock with.
But yeah, hip hop is
hip hop is notorious for it.
Yeah,
notorious.
You know what I'm saying? But like I said, thank God for the artists that reach back and you know what I'm saying. Think about guys like Pharrell. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, P. I think
think about Ye. Even Ye. You know what I mean? Through his career, he always worked with.
Yeah. I think producers are a little more lenient because they just realize, like, you know what?
Yeah.
I think cats got a lot to contribute.
So what artists? Any artists that come to mind that reach back?
There are a few artists like Raekwon. Raekwon has always been somebody who's worked with younger cats. Method Man was a person notoriously known for working with different cats. Busta Rhymes has notoriously been a person that willing to work with younger cats.
There's some rappers out there that
there are a lot of cats out there who do it.
You listen. You know a guy I respect a lot that work with younger talent. Jim Jones, bro.
Jim, yeah.
Jimmy. Listen, Jimmy. He welcomed the new talent, bro. And he not even the most talented guy. He could just recognize he just recognized like the younger talent.
God, I'll bang with Jimmy, man. That's my guy, man.
It's a few cats out there.
That's my guy.
A few cats out there trying to give him back.
You know what I'm saying?
I can even say I even say Snoop, Drake, those dudes.
Snoop.
Always reach back.
Snoop. That's for sure. Snoop definitely.
Yes, sir.
Definitely.
All right, so let's wrap this portion up. So what do we, as cats who are part of the entertainment industry and as consumers of entertainment, what do we do on our, especially and I would say we are kind of like the bridge to that younger generation and the older generation. What do we do to, quote unquote, push the culture forward and to make sure we're giving back?
I got a good one, Wayne. I think for me, just always being a fan of the culture, being a fan of the entertainment, no matter what, whether it's comedy, actor, actresses, movies, music, whatever it is, whatever you're into. I always, show love and, you know what I'm saying? I think it's kind of like, just appreciating and always coming from that fan perspective, you know what I'm saying? And, helping the next, helping the next person, helping the next artist, whatever they're in, but, always reaching back. That's what I think. You know what I mean? Instead of having like a ego and a pride, like I gotta be the man. No, everybody can be their own. You know what I'm saying? So from that point,
That's what's up. What do you think, Jose?
I think it's just being like true to who you are, like being authentic and being real, and then showing respect to other,
that's amazing.
ethnicities and other cultures, even inside hip hop. Like, if you're not a street nigga, you see what I'm saying? Like, you still can show the street niggas respect. And if you a street nigga, you can still show backpack rappers respect. You know what I'm saying? Or if you a lyricist, you can still show niggas that make party music. So it's basically just being true to who you are and then showing respect to other people. I feel like that's gonna take you a long way. So
yeah, that's big. I would say biggest thing I could say, I think the older I get, the more I realize there's room for everybody, like in our culture. I don't think anybody has to be left out, quote unquote. And
yeah.
I would say for me, like Jose says, be true to yourself. Know what you into. Know what you into, and being comfortable with that, and knowing that you're not gonna be into everything, but knowing that it's okay for people to be into different stuff, even if you don't rock with it.
Right.
The biggest thing I say is this though. I try to be that bridge on both sides. I try to be open to young and up and coming cats, but at the same time, I try to pass down. Okay, you should try to check this cat out that you haven't heard.
Yeah.
Just I think just bridging that gap on both sides, being able to reach back, but also the younger generation being able to reach forward. Okay, let me see what y'all talking about over here. What can I take away from this?
Mm-hmm.
I think just being very protective of our traditions and the things that make hip hop great. And making sure we preserve those things for the next generation, so they're able to have that, and pass it on.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, I think a big part of that is just supporting our peers. You know what I'm saying? And
definitely.
you know what I mean? I think that's a huge part. So
definitely. Support our peers, support the youngins, and support the OGs too.
Support the OGs everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Pass it forward, pay it forward, like you say.
Yes, sir. It's been a good conversation, guys.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Oh yeah, man.
It was awesome. Great, man.
Great first episode in 2021.
Off the record, I got something to say too. Off the record.
Oh, we'll address that when we're off the air.
Yeah.
All right, let's hop right into the before we wrap up. Shameless plug. Any shameless plugs, fellas?
You go ahead, Wayne.
All right, so shameless plug. Recently just launched. Recently launched a new open mic every Monday at the Joint in Columbia, South Carolina. Every Monday, me and a few of my partners in comedy, we just started that. So every Monday, catch us out at the Joint. We got some things in the works. Last on Hip Hop Presents, we're gonna be trying to do some reviews. We're gonna try to do something interesting with the reviews. That'll be coming real soon. But 2021, we're just getting back on the grind, getting out there on the comedy scene. Looking forward to bringing you guys some good things coming real soon.
Kurt, go ahead, Kurt.
Man, right now, man, I say right now, I'm on a journey, man. I'm just trying to be a better man. Just taking things day by day. I am gonna drop some music real soon. I have some merch coming too. And I'm just trying to immerse myself like in the entrepreneur world. So it's gonna be very challenging. It's gonna be very tiresome, but I'm ready to take on the challenges and do what I gotta do. So.
I just would like to thank everybody from the Laughs and Hip Hop community for supporting video I had came out last month on my birthday. Shout out to Music Monopoly as well. Shout out to the supporters and that's been tuning in. It's not only the podcast but with each of our individual projects. So man, shout out to you guys. That's been tuning in.
Yes, sir. We're looking forward to some big things in 2021. Last time we're looking forward to bringing you some exciting content, some exciting episodes, some guests coming very soon. It's been a great conversation today. We're gonna leave it on that note. Max, you got any words for us to wrap the show?
What's been on my mind lately? Okay. Yeah. Bloom where you're planted. So basically, bloom where you're planted is basically no matter, whatever your circumstances are, just take advantage, take it a day at a time and and make the most.
I want to add on to that. You know what I'm saying? I got a quote too for you guys. It's by runner Steve Prefontaine, and the quote is, "To give anything less than your best is to sacrifice the gift." So I just want everybody that just listen to that quote, just think about that when you ready to take on the endeavors in life. So
that was excellent.
Hey
man, don't be trying to take my moment, man.
Hey,
listen, man.
Hey,
I want to give a shout out.
Yeah, that was good.
Since both my brothers want to give quotes, I'm gonna give a quote too.
You might as well.
From the great philosopher. From the great philosopher, Young Jeezy. Let's get it.
Let's get it.
And on that note, we're gonna wrap this episode. Look forward to seeing y'all next week. Thanks for tuning in. We catch y'all real soon. Peace.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, boy, Boom Squad, boy.